Have you ever met someone who could walk into a room and instantly make people feel comfortable? Not because they were the smartest person there, not because they were the richest, not because they were the loudest dot, but because they knew how to connect. Communication is one of the most valuable skills a person can ever develop. It shapes relationships, opens doors, builds trust, and creates opportunities. Yet many people spend their entire lives speaking without truly being heard. Today's story is about a young man named Daniel who discovered that changing the way he communicated completely changed the direction of his life. And through his journey, you'll learn 10 powerful communication lessons that can transform your own life as well. Daniel lived in a small town where everyone knew each other. He was intelligent, hardworking, and kind. Yet he often felt invisible. Whenever people gathered, others seemed to attract attention naturally, while Daniel stood quietly in the background. At school, his ideas were overlooked. At work, his suggestions rarely gained support. Even in friendships, he often felt misunderstood. One evening, frustrated and discouraged, Daniel visited his grandfather, a wise man respected by everyone in the town. After listening carefully, his grandfather smiled and asked a simple question. "Daniel, do you know why some people leave a lasting impression wherever they go?" Daniel shook his head. His grandfather replied, "Because they understand people before they try to be understood." Those words stayed with Daniel, and they became the beginning of a life-changing journey. The next day, Daniel decided to observe people. He noticed something surprising. The most respected people in town weren't always talking. They were listening, really listening. When others spoke, they paid attention. They weren't waiting for their turn to speak. They weren't planning their next response. They were fully present. Daniel began practicing the same habit. Slowly, people started opening up to him. For the first time, he realized something important. People don't just want advice. They want understanding. Daniel also noticed that many people complicated simple ideas. One afternoon, he watched 2 merchants explain the same product. One talked endlessly. The other explained everything in less than a minute. The customers trusted the second merchant. Why? Because clarity creates confidence. Daniel learned that communication isn't about sounding smart. It's about being understood. For years, Daniel believed confident people were born that way. Then he realized something. Confidence wasn't a gift. It was a result. Every time he spoke up despite being nervous, his confidence grew. Every conversation became practice. Every challenge became training. And little by little, fear lost its power. One day, Daniel met a traveler who taught him another lesson. "People hear your words," the traveler said, "but they believe your body." Daniel noticed how posture, eye contact, and facial expressions changed the way people responded. He began standing taller, looking people in the eye, smiling more often. The results were immediate. People listened differently. As Daniel grew older, he learned that communication wasn't only about facts, that it was about feelings. Sometimes people needed understanding before solutions. Sometimes they needed empathy before advice. Daniel learned to notice emotions hidden behind words. And because of that, his relationships became stronger than ever. His grandfather once challenged him. "Stop saying, 'maybe, I guess,' and 'sort of' every time you speak." Daniel laughed, but he accepted the challenge. Soon he realized how often uncertainty weakened his message. As he learned to speak more intentionally, people trusted his words more. Not everyone communicates the same way. Some people love details. Others prefer simplicity. Some respond to logic. Others connect through emotion. Daniel learned that effective communication means adjusting your approach without changing your authenticity. The better he understood people, the stronger his connections became. One day Daniel recorded himself speaking. He was shocked. He spoke too fast. His voice sounded uncertain. So he practiced. He slowed down. He used pauses. He spoke with purpose. And gradually, his voice became one of his greatest strengths. Years later, Daniel noticed something fascinating. People rarely remembered facts, but they always remembered stories. Stories made people feel something. Stories made lessons unforgettable. From that day forward, Daniel used stories to teach, inspire, and connect. And people listened. The final lesson came from experience. Communication wasn't something you mastered once. It was a skill you improved every day. Every conversation became an opportunity to grow. Every interaction became a lesson. And with time, Daniel transformed completely. Years later, Daniel became one of the most respected people in the region. Not because he was the smartest, not because he was the wealthiest, but because he knew how to connect with people. Whenever someone asked for his secret, he always gave the same answer. I learned to listen before speaking. And then he would smile, because he knew that simple lesson had changed everything. The lesson of this story is simple. Communication is not about impressing people. It's about connecting with them. Listen deeply. Speak clearly. Show confidence. Understand emotions. Tell meaningful stories. And most importantly, keep practicing. Because your voice is more powerful than you think. The way you communicate can change your relationships, your career, your opportunities, and even your future. So start today. One conversation at a time, one improvement at a time. Because the people who change the world are not always the loudest voices. They are often the ones who know how to truly connect. And that person can be you.